Hello writers, I'm Renee Latulippe with the Lyrical Language Lab, and this is Peek and Critique. I am feeling particularly sparkly today, so I've put on my jewels and I am ready to go. Alrighty, listen, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit the little subscribe button there. You could also hit the like button if you're so moved. Whatever you do, it really helps me out a lot. Be sure to stay tuned until the end also for the writing prompt for the day. Alrighty, let's get to work because today we have a challenge, and I do love a challenge. I have a snippet sent in by Pamela Courtney, and it's for an MG novel. And I'm going to share with you what she says about this. The middle grade I'm working on will have verse poetry introducing characters and or important events. I'm entering this for an upcoming submission and I can only submit 100 words. I need help with rhythm and editing. I don't know what to cut without messing it up. Help! My favorite thing is cutting stuff. So, you came to the right place. Before I start though, Pamela, you have taken my class, the Lyrical Language Lab, and so you know that if you need help with this, you need to go to lesson 13. And if you go to lesson 13, you will find this, which should look familiar, which is A Suitcase of Seaweed and Other Poems by Janet S. Wong. I'm going to actually be featuring this in a future video, but I wanted to bring it up very quickly because I find that Janet's poetry, she's a master storyteller, first of all, and what she's so good at doing is creating entire characters in just a few words. All right. So, for example, let me just give you one example for today. And this is a poem called Leeches. With his cigarette, Uncle Kishuni burns them off my legs one by one, smearing their marks with mud. Then he carries me home piggyback along river rows of grassy rice, his bare feet sucking the ground like leeches. I don't know, what is that, 40 words maybe? Not even, 30? In this very short poem, I learned so much about Uncle Kishuni and also about the narrator, but mostly about Uncle Kishuni. All right, so we've got this, I'm going to assume it's a girl. These are autobiographical poems, so yes, it's Janet as a child. Full of leeches, all right? And we've got Uncle, who, first thing I learned, he's a very practical guy, okay? He takes a cigarette out of his mouth and burns the leeches off her legs. What a great, strong image is that, but it also tells me about Uncle. It just doesn't tell me how, it tells me why, because he's a practical guy. Oh, he sees a problem. Oh, well, I have a cigarette. We'll get rid of those. You know, he didn't have a salt shaker in his back pocket. He had a cigarette, so he used a cigarette. He's a practical guy. I also think he might be a little gruff, which I liked. I like this idea. He's like, oh, we can take care of those. We learn that he's kind. He's caring, because then he carries her on his back so that she doesn't have to walk through the rice fields again and perhaps get leeches again. He takes care of her. He takes her all the way home on his back. And not only does he do that, he's also self-sacrificing because he's barefoot and his feet are sucking the ground because it's damp and wet and he's in danger of getting leeches. But he's not going to care because he's going to burn them off when he gets home, right? So I learned so much about him in these very few words. And I use this in my class, this book of poems, one in particular, because she is so good at creating environment and character with very few words. So Pamela, it's lesson 13. Go back and take a look for all of your verses in your middle grade novel and see if they can help you hone and really get to the essence of what it is you want to say. Okay? So that said, we're going to put that aside and read what Pamela has. This one I did give a quick read through. It's not about a character, it's about an event. It's A Homegoing by Pamela Courtney. A dirt road twists, bends, then ends beneath moss-draped limbs, stretching and circling this spot, this family plot of land. rarely visited, yet seen too often. Gate opens, sinking in patches of cheatgrass, trying to remain erect. Important to stand tall today, families coming. Rebuking comfort, fresh-turned earth whispers. Willow listens, weeps. Her long locks sweep and sway, sweep and sway. She makes ready, families here. The youngest takes her place of honor, so cool, so dark, so deep. Old traveler doffs his hat, attempting to offer respects. His feeble efforts force weary eyes down. Shoes of 100 lifetimes stare back. He looks past the gate, sees it leaning, sinking in sorrow. He mourns all her shoes will miss, miles of muddy red clay, mocking melodies of meadowlarks. She's with family now. The gate closes, then swings slightly ajar. All right, Pamela, already quite lovely. You've definitely evoked the scene in this, and I do think indeed that you can hone this even more to really make those images pop and really get to the emotion of it without getting sentimental. So let's just do it. Now, one thing I did notice is that you're using internal rhyme. We've got things like bends, ends, spot, plot, and this happens in various spots throughout. It's something that I would try to maintain, try to not delete, but we'll see how it goes. We may have to kill some darlings. That's just the way it is. You know that. You know that. So I'm just going to start. A dirt road twists, bends, then ends beneath moss-draped limbs. All right, first thing, twisting and bending, same thing. All right? Oh, and this is 141 words, by the way. So we're starting with 141 words. I'd get rid of one of those. I'm going to get rid of twists because you've got the internal rhyme, and I want to try to preserve it. So let's turn on our tracking and so we can see what we've done. A dirt road bends, then ends. I'd get rid of this. Don't need it. A dirt road bends, ends between moss-draped limbs, stretching. Confused about what is stretching. Is it the road or the limbs? I think it's the limbs. All right, also punctuation is really important. Periods make me stop. Commas make me pause. Dashes make me pause longer and expect something big at the end of that pause. So it's really important. I'm going to be fixing it throughout because I feel like I'm being stopped too much. There are a lot of short sentences, and I think that this is a funeral. I feel like it needs to be more fluid, more languid in some way. So I'm going to put in the commas instead. I don't know what's stretching. I'm going to get rid of it. I don't need to know. I need to know that the dirt road ends under moss-draped limbs. I've got the scene already in my head. Encircling this spot, this family plot of land. What's encircling? The limbs. So we've got a circle of trees of some sort. All right, so punctuation, just like you would with prose. Encircling this spot, this family plot of land. Of land. Why? It's a plot. The family plot says it all. We know what a family plot is. That's all you need. Rarely visited, yet seen too often. I like this. The one thing is, visited is such a, it's not a fluid word, really. And I'm wondering, and it's hard to say rarely visited. You know, you were worried about rhythm as well, and I think that we could work with some of these word choices to make them more fluid. What if we repeated seen? Rarely seen, yet seen too often. How does that work? Do you like that? That could work. I think that it's a little more rhythmic, and it doesn't stop me with that visited. Gate opens. Okay, the gate is sinking, am I right? So, sinking in patches of cheatgrass, trying to remain erect, important to stand tall today. So this is all about the gate, this section. Trying to remain erect. I feel like that's a little expository. What if we just jumped from the sinking to, important to stand tall today? You know, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to give it a shot. And I'm going to leave that period there. So we've got gate opens, sinking in patches of cheatgrass. Important to stand tall today. Family's coming. I like that. The personification of the gate works really well here. Rebuking comfort, fresh turned earth whispers. Willow listens, weeps. Okay, so now we're on to something else. Now we're on to the earth, personifying the earth. I don't understand rebuking comfort. And it's not really a phrase that flows, is it? Rebuking comfort. And I don't understand what comfort is it rebuking and how is it rebuking the comfort. It's like an unfinished thought there. I don't get it. I mean, I guess if I thought about it for a really long time, I might get it. But this is a revision exercise, so let's just kill it. Fresh turned earth whispers. Okay, it's fresh turned because we've just dug a grave. So I like getting right into that image. You know, the rebuking comfort. I was so caught up in trying to figure out what that meant that I didn't realize at first that the fresh turned earth is fresh turned because it's a grave. Fresh turned earth whispers, willow listens, weeps. That's nice. I like that. I'm going to leave that for now. Her long locks sweep and sway, she makes ready. Family's here. So now we're personifying the willow. I love how they're all coming together to create this scene. I don't think that sweep and sway warrants being repeated. Sweeping is already a nice, long, languid word. I think one time is plenty. And of course it goes with the weeps. So I'm going to leave that for now. And I'm going to make that a period. She makes ready. Family's here. The youngest takes her place of honor. So cool, so dark, so deep. I like that. You've given me an idea of who died. I'm thinking, well, if it's the youngest person, it's a parent perhaps that has died. I don't know. But being the youngest, it's kind of interesting. And she is the place of honor, so I'm guessing something like that. Old traveler doffs his hat. I don't know who old traveler is. Attempting to offer respects, his feeble efforts force weary eyes down. This is a little bit wordy. Old traveler. I love this old traveler. I don't know who he is. I'm going to guess he's someone from far away, a rarely seen family member who has made the trek here for this particular funeral. He doffs his hat, attempting to offer respects. I don't know about the attempting. Doffing your hat is offering respect. I don't think we need this. I think he doffs his hat. Says it all. His feeble efforts force weary eyes down. Whose weary eyes? His own or other people's? Shoes of 100 lifetimes stare back. That gives me the idea that it's his eyes that are being forced down. I'm not clear here at all whose eyes are going down. I'm thinking they're his own because then he sees these shoes and then it goes on. He talks about the shoes. I'm a little confused in this spot. And I don't know why his efforts are feeble. They seem okay to me. I'm just going to say casts weary eyes down for now. I'm going to come back to that because I'm not 100% sure about that line. Shoes of 100 lifetimes stare back. Nice. So he's looking down now, I'm assuming. And there's 100 people at this funeral. 100 lives, 100 souls, 100 lifetimes. Interesting, huh? I like this image, so I'm leaving that just the way it is. He looks past the gate, sees it leaning, sinking in sorrow. Expository. We're still on Old Traveler here. So this is his moment. He's doffed his hat. He's cast his eyes down. He's thinking about those shoes. He's looking back up past the gate. I don't think we need sees it leaning. It's expository. And this just came to me. If we put a comma here. He looks past the gate, sinking in sorrow. If we do that, we get rid of sees it leaning. It could be a double meaning. The gate, we know from before, is sinking in the cheatgrass. And now the gate is sinking in sorrow, but the sinking in sorrow could also relate to old traveler. So we have a double meaning happening here now. All right, so I think that could be kind of cool. He mourns all her shoes will miss. I love this line. Miles of muddy red clay, but we need something here. Let's go with a dash. All right. And he lists a couple of things that the shoes are going to miss. Miles of muddy red clay, mocking melodies of meadowlarks. She's with family now. The gate closes, then swings slightly ajar. That's a nice ending. So, this is my first run through. Okay, let's see where we are. We are at 116 words. So, we're 16 words away from where we need to be. Now, I'm not one to just cut stuff for the sake of cutting stuff, and I think that we're in a pretty good spot. But what I'm going to do is copy what I have right now, and let's paste it down below and reread it and see what we have now. And see if there's anything else. So this is what I would do. Do my one through, what can I definitely get rid of, what's really extraneous, and then I'm going to go through and start really refining little tiny things. And I'm going to find for sure other little things that I can take away. Am I going to get all the way down to 100 words? I don't know. Let's give it a shot. A dirt road bends, ends between moss-draped limbs, encircling this spot, this family plot. Rarely seen, yet seen too often, gate opens, sinking in patches of cheatgrass. Important to stand tall today. Family's coming. Fresh-turned earth whispers, willow listens, weeps. Her long locks sweep and sway. She makes ready. Family's here. The youngest takes her place of honor, so cool, so dark, so deep. Old traveler doffs his hat, casts weary eyes down. Shoes of 100 lifetimes stare back. He looks past the gate, sinking in sorrow. He mourns all her shoes will miss, miles of muddy red clay, mocking melodies of meadowlarks. She's with family now. The gate closes, then swings slightly ajar. Alrighty then. I think it's flowing pretty nicely, I have to say. I don't know how much more I can do, but I'm going to try because I always can find something. So, a dirt road bends, ends beneath moss-draped limbs. I like it. I don't like encircling, as I still don't know grammatically what it's referring to. Is it referring to the dirt road or the limbs? It's not clear to me. And it's encircling. It's just not, doesn't have that languid feel I think that we want to go for. So, what can I do? What if we end here? And we get rid of that. Now it's kind of like a sigh. Oh, look what's happening. Rarely seen. I don't like off. I want it to be shorter. I'm putting in much. I don't know. You decide. This spot, this family plot, rarely seen yet seen too much. Rhythm. We're getting there. Gate opens, sinking in patches of cheatgrass. Important to stand tall today. Important. It's like that rebuking. It's too much. It's too big of a word. Okay, this gate has an objective now, so I don't know. How about must? Must. Gate opens, sinking in patches of cheatgrass. Must stand tall today. And must goes with much up above that we just did. Family's coming. Fresh turned earth whispers. Willow listens, weeps. Her long locks sweep and sway. She makes ready. The weeps and the sweep, I like this internal rhyme. I really do want to keep it. It's the she makes ready. So now we've got everybody kind of preparing this area. So I like the idea, the image that she's weeping and sweeping at the same time. So maybe we don't need the sway. And forget the expository feeling there. She's making ready, right? Making ready. Willow listens, weeps, her long locks sweep, making ready. Ah! I'm excited. Okay, Family's here. The youngest takes her place of honor. I don't want to touch this area. I think it's necessary and it's lovely. Old traveler doffs his hat, casts weary eyes down. Ugh. Don't like what I did there. It's hard for me to say that. How about if we just put the word over here instead? Old traveler doffs his hat, weary eyes cast down. Shoes of 100 lifetimes stare back. He looks past the gate, sinking in sorrow. He mourns, all her shoes will miss. Miles of muddy red clay, mocking melodies of meadowlarks. She's with family now. The gate closes, then swings slightly ajar. I feel pretty good about that. I don't know about you. I don't know what else I could take away. Let's see how many words we have now. We have 111. So we're looking for 11 words if you really, really need to go that low. If you do, there is a spot I could get rid of, and that is these two things about what her shoes will miss. If we got rid of those, he mourns, all her shoes will miss. She's with family now. I think you would not be missing a lot, and that gives you down to 102 words. And if you really wanted to get down to 100 words, Willow weeps. Her long locks sweep. So there's one more, and I'm sure you can find another word in here somewhere. Even this spot, family plot. I'll leave those last two words to you, but and I'm going to actually put these things back because I think you're good this way. If you don't need to get down to 100 words, I think this is really tight and it's beautiful. So you were there. It's just a matter of killing some of those darlings and going back to where, Pamela? Lesson 13 in the Lyrical Language Lab, which you have done, and doing that exercise with all of these verses. So Pamela, I'm going to stop there, and I really hope you found this exercise helpful and that you find something in here that can help you as you keep revising your MG. So for today's prompt, let's take our inspiration from Pamela's poem and from Janet Wong's craft, and that is to write a free verse poem in which about a person or an event, like Pamela is doing, in which you give us as much information as possible about what's happening, but using as few words as possible. And when you're done with that, go back and revise and see if there's anything else that you can take out to hone and get to the essence of what it is you want to say. It's a challenge, but a really useful exercise for revision. And that's it for today. If you'd like to submit your writing to Peek and Critique, you'll find a link to do just that down below in the description. And please do feel free to share these videos with your writing pals. And we'll see you next time at Peek and Critique.